Who becomes the local admin on an Entra ID joint device? Welcome back. In the previous video, we already understood how devices get registered in Microsoft Entra ID and what it really means when a device is Entra ID joined. In this video, we are going to continue from that point and focus on one very specific question. Who actually becomes the local administrator on an Entra ID joint device? We are not using Microsoft Intune. We are not using group policy. This discussion is only about Microsoft Entra ID and Windows behavior. It is important to clarify this right at the beginning. Like joining a device to Entra ID does not automatically make a user a local administrator. What Entra ID really does is provides the identity information from its repository. Whosoever the user you select Entra ID, when a user is joining the device to your Entra ID, the Entra ID provides the identity information, who the user is, and what role that user has on the device. Windows then evaluates that identity information during sign in and decides whether to issue a standard user token or an administrator token. So Entra ID gives the identity information, and based on the configuration, it is Windows that will evaluate whether to issue, like whether to give a role to that identity as a standard user or as an administrator. Once that decision is made, all control and enforcement happens inside Windows. So in this video, we are going to clearly understand what Entra ID signals, what Windows evaluates, and how local administrator access actually works on Entra ID joined devices. We will see the settings in Entra ID, what settings you can configure so that you can make someone a administrator on a Microsoft Entra ID joined device. All right, so the most important point is why this topic matters. Local administrator access represents the highest level of control on a Windows device. A local administrator can install software, modify system and security settings, change local policies on the system, and effectively take complete control of the operating system. Because of this power, many administrators assume that Microsoft Entra ID must be managing or restricting local administrator access. Others assume that once a device is joined to Entra ID, users automatically become administrator on that device. Both assumptions are incorrect. Microsoft Entra ID does not manage or restrict with what a local administrator can do on the device. As described earlier, Microsoft Entra ID only provides the identity information. It tells your Windows operating system while joining the device who will be the local administrator on the device. But what a local administrator can do on Windows device, it is completely dependent on how Windows is treating the local admins. Uh, so Microsoft Intro ID does not manage or restrict what a local administrator can do. And joining a device to Entra ID does not automatically grant administrative privileges. Local administrator access is determined through identity signals provided by Entra ID and evaluated by Windows at sign-in time. Once Windows issues an administrator token, all enforcements happen entirely within the operating system. This is why understanding how local administrators can like how local administrator access actually works is critical from a security perspective, because identity alone does not provide control or protection of your devices in So this slide, like local admin equal to full device control that we explained. Entra ID is not admin enforcement. Device join is not admin access, and identity is not the control on the device. Now we will understand what is a local administrator. Let us start with the basics. I know most of you would know what a local administrator is, but for the sake of the video, I am creating this slide. I have created this slide. So what is a local administrator? Uh, a local administrator is a role defined entirely by the Windows operating system. A user with local administrator access can install and remove software. They can change system and security settings, manage local users and groups on a Windows system, modify the registry, and control almost every aspect of the device. This level of access is not limited to a specific application or service. It applies to the entire operating system. So, a local administrator is the master of the complete machine. He's the master of the complete operating system. He can make critical changes on a system. Because of this, local administrator access effectively means full control over the device. It is important to understand that this role is not created or enforced by Microsoft Entra ID. Local administrator is an operating system level role enforced by Windows security mechanism. So your Entra ID is not controlling what a local administrator can do on the device. Rather, it will control what kind of user can become a local administrator on the device when you join the device to Microsoft Entra ID. Now, Microsoft Entra ID only provides identity information about the user. Whether that identity is treated as a local administrator is ultimately decided and enforced by Windows. So, this is what like the basic what is a local administrator and how Entra ID and the Windows behave differently with the local administrators. Now, this slide tells identity versus operating system. This is the point where most confusion around device administration begins. Microsoft Entra ID and Windows Server very differently purpose. Now, every now and then I'm saying this, Microsoft Entra ID and Windows serve very different purpose, even though they work together. So they are working together, but how an identity is treated, how the roles are treated, they are like they serve my Entra ID and Windows. They both serve the different purpose. Microsoft Entra ID handles identity. It answers questions like who the user is, which tenant they belong to, and what directory role they have. Windows, on the other hand, handles enforcement. So Entra ID tells that this is a user, it belongs to this tenant, and he is a device administrator, he is a global admin, he's the one joining the device, and he's allowed to join the device. Then the Windows handles the enforcement part, like, okay, you tell me that this is the user. Now, as per your setting, should I assign him the local admin rights? So Enter ID says, okay, yes, go ahead and do that. So Windows enforces like a role on that user, whether it will be a local administrator or not. So Windows handles enforcements. It decides what that signed in user can actually be on the device or can do on the device. Enter ID does not install software, change settings, or apply restrictions on the device. It only provides identity information. Windows then evaluates the identity information and applies its own security rules to determine the permissions. So, These are two different worlds working together. Entra ID defines identity, Windows enforces privileges. Understanding this separation is essential to correctly understand local administrator access on Entra ID joint devices. When a device is joined when a device is joined to Microsoft Entra ID, users can sign in using their Entra ID credentials without any issues. However, by default, signing in does not grant local administrator access. The user is signed in as a standard user, not as an administrator. This behavior is intentional and designed to reduce the risk. It follows the principle of least privilege, which means users are only given the permission they actually need to perform their work. By not granting administrative access automatically, Windows help prevent credential system changes, security misconfigurations, and malware installation. So, if someone is joining the device by the uh, principle of least privilege, the user will not become the local admin. What happens if you configure an operating system locally? Suppose you have installed an operating system locally. The first user who signs in or who configures the operating system automatically becomes the administrator. But when joining the device to Entra ID, that is not the case. So a user who is joining the device to Entra ID does not become the local administrator by default, and this is controlled. This is intended behavior of Entra ID. It does not provide. So what happens, like, if you remember, kind of when the work from situation, the COVID situation happened, companies used to ship laptops to the users, and what happened is you like out of box experience. You open the laptop, you sign in with your Entra ID account, and you configure the operating system. The Windows configures itself for you. But remember, it gave only the permission that actually need to perform their work, like opening your emails, Outlook, Teams. For installing any software, you need to connect to your local IT. They can uh, take a remote session and install the software with their credentials. We will discuss all these things, how it happens, what are the settings that will allow this to happen when we show you the demo. So Entra ID join establishes the identity and trust, but administrative privileges must be explicitly allowed and evaluated separately. In this slide, let us discuss who can become a local administrator and what are the misconceptions around and what is the reality. This topic is surrounded by several misconceptions, so let us address them one by one. The first misconception is joining a device to Entra ID automatically makes the user a local administrator. So, this is a misconception. This is not true. Joining a device to Entra ID establishes identity and trust, not administrative control. By default, user sign in as a standard user. But this can be changed in Entra ID. Second misconception, the first user who joins the device during Windows setup always becomes a local administrator. This is also not true. Microsoft Entra ID. So, third misconception, this is Microsoft Entra ID directly makes someone a local administrator on the device. Like if you talk about global administrators or administrative roles inside your tenant, so a global administrator is the highest privilege. So, but Entra ID does not give the local administrator the device admin role. This can be changed, but the global administrators are not the local administrators on the device. In reality, local administrator can access on Entra ID joint devices depends on Entra ID device settings, identity, roles, and Windows sign-in evaluation. Enforcement always happen inside the Windows. There are two important role-based access to understand. So with the misconception and reality, there are two important role-based cases to understand. First is the device administrator role. Members of the device administrators roles are local administrators on Entra ID joint device by default. This is intentional, and the role itself is defined for device level administration. Second are, as we discussed, global administrators. Global administrators are powerful directory identities and can also be evaluated for local administrator access on Entra ID joint devices. Depending on tenant configuration, again, there are settings which you can make, but because their privileges extend far beyond device administration, they should not be used for routine device level tasks. So what happens is, if there is a global administrator and then you have a privileged identity management, and someone to needs your help to work on the device, to install a software, and you go ahead uh, and activate your global administrator role. This will give you the access on the device. You can install the software on the device. But at the same time, it is exposing your identity because it is more powerful. So your role is activated, but just for installing the software, you should not be like activate your global administrator role. That is the reason I said their privileges extend far beyond device administration. They should not be used for routine device level tasks. And there are built-in roles which are device administrators role who are designed to control the device. So we will go ahead and uh, look into all these settings in Microsoft Entra ID when we go to the demo. So it is the time for live demonstration. I have skipped two slides because while creating these two slides, I got emotional and put more points here, but I have skipped two slides and will take you directly to the live demonstration. Now, let us validate everything we discussed using a live demonstration. I will use Windows virtual machines in VMware that are joined to Microsoft Entra ID, or we will join a device to Microsoft Entra ID. First, so let us see. When we join the device to Microsoft Entra ID, because in my last video, when we joined the device, the user did not get admin privilege. So we will start this time. We will start with the settings in Microsoft Entra ID, and then we will join a device, and then we will see who gets the device administrator role, uh, local admin role on the device. So let me bring up the Entra ID screen and the settings window. All right, I'm logged into my Entra ID. So if you go to Entra ID and you see users, so I have, for this demo, I have created the users already. Uh, if the screen is a bit small, I can enlarge it for you. So one account that I have created is Demo Global Admin, one account that is Device Admin, and one account that is Device Joiner. And this is by default the local admin, the first account that we use to set up the tenant. So we will use this account, device admin 1 at bycus.com, to join the device. So you can see it here. If I go to this screen, device joiner account is there. So we will put in the password. So this device is joined with this device joiner account, and it is already configured. Like first time, if you configure, it will ask for MFA and all. So that I have skipped in this video. So it is asking for Windows Hello, and you click on OK, and you can close it. and actually you can skip it for now. So this is the screen. Now a basic installation or a basic change that you want to do on this screen, like run any application as administrator. So run as administrator, if you click on it will ask for a login. It's simply if you are getting a login screen, which it means you are not an admin user. So if it is asking for your email address and password, that simply means you are not an admin user. If it just gives you a screen which says yes or no, it is not asking for your identity, that means you are an administrator. It is just the user account control which is firing up and asking you whether you want to run it as an administrator or not. Let us see if we can install any software. So in VMware Tools, you can go and click on Install VMware Tools, and it will come up with the setup file. So let us see if we can install it. So here it is, and run VMware setup.exe. Now, because I have joined this device, it does not mean it makes me a local admin on the device. It is asking for a local admin credential. Now we will close it, and where do you see the local admin setup? Now we will go to our Entra ID screen and see this user is a device admin, but I have not added the role. And this is a global admin account. So this is also a global admin account. Now, a global administrator is the highest privilege. Let us go ahead and install the software with the local admin rights. So we'll close it and we will go here. And this is DVD and setup.exe we will run. And you see it is asking for like a local admin role. Now we will use this global admin account. Uh, all right, so we try to log in here and we see an error. So this global admin account is not added as device administrator. Now, what we will do is we will go to this device admin account. All right, and we will go to assign roles and we will assign it active under active assignment, add assignments, and we will select a role. This is device. So Microsoft Entra Joint Device Local Administrator is the name of the role. Microsoft Entra Joint Device Local Administrator. Make it so there is one member, and this is device admin. Now here what you can do is you can assign this role to a group and it make it active assignment. So enter justification. This is a device administrator for the tenant. Like intra joined devices. All right, and you click on assign. So now this assignment will be like device administrator role will be assigned to this user. So you can see an active assignment. It is Microsoft Intra joined direct. All right, now we go to this device. It will take some time. So what we can do here is we will go to our VMware screen and we will go ahead and restart this device once so that it may sync up with the settings. So let us see what happens. All right, the device has restarted. So we will go ahead and log in with device joiner account. Okay, let it log in. And we have added the role, the device administrator role to this account, devadmin1 at bycus.com. And we will try to install the software with this account. So run setup.exe. So it is asking for the account to log in, and our account is dev admin one at byqs.com, and password I'll put, and click on yes. So you can see it is installing. So a device administrator, if you have made given someone with this role, which is Microsoft Entra joined device local administrator, this is the safest, as we discussed, this is the safest role for device management. Now we will go ahead and look into the Entra ID settings. We will leave this screen as it is. We will go to Entra ID settings. So you go to devices and go to device settings. In device settings, the first setting is Microsoft Entra join and registration settings. User may join devices to Microsoft Entra. So you see, users may join device to Microsoft Entra. This will allow a user to join the device to Entra ID. So currently it is selected all, selected users, and none. So this is the settings you can toggle, like all, if you want uh, all the users to join the devices to Microsoft Entra ID, then you have to select all. If you want selected users to join the device to Entra ID, you have to click on selected. No member selected, you can add from here, and from this you can create kind of group like device joiners, like allow. But most of the, like for the sake of convenience, you allow all the users to join the devices to Microsoft Entra ID. Later, you can put kind of restriction if you are using Intune. There are settings in Intune like personal devices, and they cannot join. Second setting is users may register their device with Microsoft Entra, all or none. Require multi-factor authentication to register or join devices with Microsoft Entra ID. So whether you want to enforce multi-factor authentication to register or join devices with Microsoft Entra ID, settings would be yes or no. If you click on yes, while joining the device with Microsoft Entra ID, it will ask for Microsoft authentication, like multi-factor authentication. If you select no, it won't ask for multi-factor authentication. Now, this is here maximum number of devices per user. So in like 5 is the minimum, and custom limit, like if you want to control the number of devices a user can register, so you can put like a custom value, unlimited. So 5 is the option that we will keep. Maybe a user has a Mac device, a Windows device, an Android device, so you can they can join the devices with this like restriction. Local administrator settings. This is the part we want to discuss about this video. What is the local administrator setting? Here, this is the setting you need to turn on and off. Global administrator role is added as local administrator on the device during Microsoft Entra join. Yes or no? So you can select if you want a global administrator to be a part of as a local administrator on the device when joining the device, like if someone joins the device. So you can select like yes or no from here. As we discussed the security implication, a global administrator is a big role, right? And in your organization, it should always be controlled through privileged identity management, that is just in time access. When this access is needed, user can go and request. But for a device administration, if you are using this role, then you are exposing a kind of uh, a, a, a plethora of settings and controls on, like this account should actually not be used as a device administrator for device administration. Registering user is added as a local administrator on the device during Microsoft Entra join. So this is the point we discussed already. This is the setting. Registering user is added as a local administrator. No. So currently it is selected none. That is the reason when we joined the device with the particular Entra ID, it did not become a local administrator on the device. And you can always select a user or select a group. So by default, you do not give this access. Manage additional local administration on Microsoft Entra joint devices. Enable Microsoft Entra local administration administrator password solution. Labs. To implement labs, either you need to use the group policy if you are implementing labs, or you have to implement policies through uh, in Microsoft Intune. Now, everywhere we saw in this setting, like joining the device, like basically I'll talk about these two settings. So global administrator, yes, no, and registering user, yes, no. All selected none. So what happened for the device administrators? So device administrators are built-in role. By default, they will have local administrative access on the device. So if you see here, roles and admins, right? So for device administrators, you go to roles and admins and you select all roles, like how you want to manage in your organization through groups or dynamic groups. We have discussed how to manage things using groups and dynamic groups. So we have searched for Microsoft Entra Joint Device Local Administrators. You click on this and you click on here and you see the description. So you can see, and you can go to assignments here, active assignments, and you can like see, you see the user and add assignment. Now here you can, again, I told you, like for device administration members, you can select a user, a group, right? So if you create a kind of group for device administration like local IT, and you add this here, so as soon as you add a user to this group, he will become the device administrator. So um, in this video, we have discussed almost all the aspects of a device administration. Currently, we are not looking into Intune. We have worked through Microsoft Entra ID device administration, how a device administrator becomes the local admin on the device. A global administrator by default is not the local admin on a device. A user joining the device is also does not become the local admin on the device. All are managed through device settings that you can do. So if in your organization you need to configure device administrators, create a group, add users to the group, go to roles and admins, and you search for Entra ID joined device, Microsoft Entra joined device administrator, and here you can go to add assignments and select that group here. Uh, so all the members in this group will become device administrator. If you want to do individual assignment, you can do the individual assignment. Now you understand how the device administration works through Microsoft Entra ID. Now moving next, I'll talk about the security implications. Local admin access increases attack surface. Use device administrators over global admins. Prefer just in time access using PIM, like privilege identity management. So Entra ID decides who can become an admin. Windows decide what admins can do. No Intune, no enforcement so far. That is it for today's video. Next video, we will introduce enforcement through Intune. However, in this series, if you want to understand PIM or JIT access, just in time access privilege identity management, or Microsoft Intune, should I start a series with Microsoft Intune or privilege identity management? Do comment, and based on your comment, we will create the next video in this series. Hope this was informative. Hope you learned something new and it helps you out in managing your organization. Thank you and have a nice day.